Hello to online community. It's been a while since you got a full recording from us, but we're starting a little late today. And we are reading Jeremiah 41. We being an assumption. I don't know who's reading.
I guess
I could,
Oh,
well,
good.
I can try.
Yeah. Go ahead, because there's a lot of names again.
In the 7th month, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, son of Elishama, of the royal family, one of the chief officers of the king, came with 10 men to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, at Mizpah. As they ate bread together there at Mizpah, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and the 10 men with him got up and struck down Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, with a sword and killed him, because the king of Babylon had appointed him governor in the land. Ishmael also killed all the Judeans who were with Gedaliah at Mizpah, and the Chaldean soldiers who happened to be there. On the day after the murder of Gedaliah, before anyone knew of it, 80 men arrived from Shechem and Shiloh and Samaria, with their beards shaved and their clothes torn and their bodies gashed, bringing grain offerings and incense to present at the temple of the Lord. And Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, came out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he came. As he met them, he said to them, "Come to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam." When they reached the middle of the city, Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, and the men with him slaughtered them and threw them into a cistern. But there were 10 men among them who said to Ishmael, "Do not kill us, for we have stores of wheat, barley, oil, and honey hidden in the fields." So he refrained and did not kill them along with their companions. Now the cistern into which Ishmael had thrown all the bodies of the men whom he had struck down was the large cistern that King Asa had made for defense against King Baasha of Israel. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, filled that cistern with those whom he had killed. Then Ishmael took captive all the rest of the people who were in Mizpah, the king's daughters, and all the people who were left at Mizpah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the captain of the guard, had committed to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, took them captive and set out to cross over to the Ammonites. But when Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces with him heard of all the crimes that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, had done, they took all their men and went to fight against Ishmael, son of Nethaniah. Ishmael, son of Nethaniah.
Yeah. Not the other one now.
Not the other, right.
I'm sorry. They came upon him at the great pool that is in Gibeon. And when all the people who were with Ishmael saw Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces with him, they were glad. So all the people whom Ishmael had carried away captive from Mizpah turned around and came back and went to Johanan, son of Kareah. But Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, escaped from Johanan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. Then Johanan, son of Kareah, and all the leaders of the forces with him took all the rest of the people whom Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, had carried away captive from Mizpah after he had slain Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. Soldiers, women, children, and eunuchs whom Johanan brought back from Gibeon. And they set out and stopped at Geruth Shimham near Bethlehem, intending to go to Egypt because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them, because Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, had killed Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, whom the king of Babylon had made governor over the land.
Yikes. They could have said that in like 5 sentences, probably.
Oh, I think less.
Maybe understood it.
Right.
Rather than they were
There's a lot of killing going on.
And
You mean it was Ishmael? Yes, son of Nathan. I mean, come on, how many times do you have to repeat?
Well, I guess it's kind of like,
Like,
it's like the last name, right?
yeah, that's how you recognize
Yes,
people as their
there are
child.
last names, and there's a lot of first names that are the same.
So
But
you have
really,
to differentiate, but once you do in the narration, wouldn't you remember? It was,
Same measurement we were
that
talking
same
about before.
dude, yeah.
Same guy.
It's really,
This whole thing is about him.
it's a weird thing in the writing, It's,
Yeah.
they repeat what they've already said,
Over and over.
which doesn't clear anything up. It makes it more
makes it harder
complicated.
to follow it.
So, tell me about Gedaliah.
Well,
Governor of Judah.
yeah, he was a puppet governor appointed by the
Yeah.
conquering king of Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
and he was hated because he was carrying out Babylon's supervision. And all of this, if I understand it right, all of this is still in and around the area of Jerusalem.
Well, it sounded like it wasn't too far.
Yeah, there's just remnants of the
Yeah.
original city and the population that was there. And there's, when I read this in the middle of the week, and I don't know, I had this despair that washed through me. It reminded me of the things I always hear about in the distance, when tribal problems break out, and the solutions to their tribal differences over land and customs is murder.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like in Sudan right now.
well,
Sudan is
exactly,
like
and that's I can't even
horrible, and
listen
it's
to
not
the
in the
news
news.
of Sudan.
Yeah,
I heard on BBC today,
Mhm.
but
They're-
they're just slaughtering everybody.
Yeah.
Women, children,
and this was during a funeral, apparently. Numbers of people were killed
Mm-hmm.
in a funeral service.
And they march and they kill in the name of, freedom and, we're gonna be the just government for the people, for us, and whatever.
But the rebels that were in that city of Al-Fashion held out there for a long time. But then when the conquering army came in, instead of saying, all right, we'll make a treaty with you, we understand we're all, Sudanese, let's do something constructive. Instead, they just start slaughtering people. What do you expect? So when all those people are dead, you have no more problem? Now you've made 1 million more problems because there's all these son of, cousin of,
Yeah.
Exactly. So what's the deal? I was listening to some of the NPR a couple of days ago, people who managed to escape the city, and were saying, we were starving anyway,
Yeah.
and, probably wouldn't have been too much longer, we would have all given up anyway. Instead, they came in and they just started slaughtering. She said, we were lucky to get out alive, but she said that,
Alive but what? Yeah.
exactly, yeah, because Sudan is also, experiencing famine right now too, on top of everything. That's probably the starter of a lot of stuff, environmental turmoil, and then systems break down and people
You have to
go
blame
to war.
someone.
Well, yeah, it's those people, yeah. It's like the Rwanda thing, but they say worse because there are more people being killed.
And, I think Sudan's extreme wealth in some ways interferes a lot with everything too.
I think you're right, yeah.
There's always been such a big divide between the real, the oil barons and whatever you call them. And,
The Arabs,
mm-hmm.
the
Versus,
people who have Arab heritage
Mm-hmm.
and the native population. That's probably
It's been a
90% of the problem, that
for-
there's a lot of animosity.
For more than 30 years, because I remember some presentation on that, you know, that long ago.
Eritrea.
That's awesome.
Yeah. it's-
And, you know,
What are you gonna do?
I kind of thought when South Sudan was formed, that maybe that was going to somehow make a more peaceful area, you know.
I think everybody.
It didn't happen. It happened very briefly. It's so sad.
I know, in the mosque every week, there's prayers for different places on earth that are, and always Sudan is in there, always. No matter who's in power, who's not in power. It seems that there's
Well,
always
there's-
strife.
You know, just when you hear the word Sudan, you think of starving children.
Exactly,
You know,
Yes.
I mean, that's,
yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And then, you know, I also think,
Now, but when they sat down to break bread, that was like,
yeah,
that is the worst thing
It
you
is the
can
worst.
do in,
It is the
in
worst.
the
Yeah.
customs of the people of the time. Hospitality was everything. Here, sit down and have something to eat. I didn't watch Game of Thrones.
I was
but
just gonna
wasn't
say,
that-
the Red Wedding,
Well, yeah,
they had the Red Wedding.
that's the
Game of
absolute
Thrones.
worst thing you can do.
You know, well, what it was, these clans, these warring clans, they arranged a wedding between the woman from the one clan and the man from the other. And unbeknownst to the one clan, the leader of the male clan had decided this is a great way to conquer this entire clan. So they had the wedding in the middle of the reception. His soldiers came in with swords and they killed everybody. There was blood everywhere. So going forward, they referred to the Red Wedding. You know, it was a red wedding.
because of the blood, okay.
You know, and so yes, that scene comes to my mind, and scenes I've never seen, I never want to see. The commentators say that, you know, these are still Hebrew people, and
Yeah.
and the violation of hospitality to arrange for the massacre at a dinner that you invited them to.
That happened before too with, what's her face when she was raped? Names escape me now.
Is
And
it Dina?
I think so.
Yeah, Dina.
And then all the family was invited to come and they killed them all.
Right.
It seems like it is a thing that happens, but it's supposed to be the worst thing you can do.
Because you trust,
Yeah,
you
you're
believe that.
Well, you lay your guard down. You're coming, you say, oh, I'm hungry, I'm really hungry, let me come in and have something to
How
eat.
nice of them to invite me.
And that was a way to make treaties and to make, you know, agreements between people over a meal. But, so, if Trump invites you to a meal, how do we translate that?
Well, he's doing a lot of that, inviting people to the meetings. It doesn't mean he's loyal to them.
No.
But it just, like I said, I read through it and I go, oh my gosh, in my lifetime, how many, I mean, I'm fortunate, I've never been in the middle of one of these. You know, I've never, I watch documentary movies about Rwanda. I watched that movie, that horrible movie about the hotel in Rwanda, where they defended to their very last breath these innocent women and children against who? Against who? The human beings who lose their minds. They're just crazy for blood. And you know, we live in a world that has a history of somewhat civilized ways of solving problems, but I do worry, we're still humans,
Yes.
and you can still feel it around the edge, can't you? Can you feel it? Like, it could, I mean, that day when the Capitol was raided and
Yeah.
people,
No, that
I
was,
backed away from my television set and thought, I'm not watching this. I
No,
can't
couldn't
see
Make
this.
it real.
This cannot be in a
I
world where,
kept calling people saying, are you watching this? This is unbelievable.
in a world where there's so many other solutions at your fingertips if you want to. Take a stand, make a move, but to do that? I mean,
it's just the basest human nature, you know?
yeah, it is. Just,
First
the
of all,
big
the
one.
cistern. Don't you need to have water? That's already
That's what I'm
polluted
saying.
all your
Wait a minute.
water.
What I
Water
think,
is
There's
scarce.
the water coming.
and I don't know who the players all are and how they line up, but I had a feeling that's exactly what was intended.
Oh, yeah.
They polluted the
Poison
water
your
system
wells. Yeah.
for the people who were gonna remain there after then the marauders left.
And that explains that. That does make sense now, but in chapter 4, before anybody knew that this murder had taken place, people came from Shechem, Shiloh, and Samaria with their beards shaved. Their
Yeah, I don't know what
I
exactly
think,
that
doesn't that
is.
symbolize that we're coming to you
In peace.
Yeah, and-
groveling?
right,
Exactly. That
There's-
shows extreme humility.
right. There is a sentence in there that points to that, you know, that they had come humble.
Bringing grain offerings.
Right.
Bringing
And
offerings.
incense.
Yes, and they were ready to say, whatever we did.
Yeah, please forgive us, here's our, and they get it too.
Yeah,
Really? I mean,
just
And
slaughter
I
them.
think, I understand it, the issue that's underneath it all is Babylon is trying to completely control the area. But there are people who are refusing, and they're trying to organize a revolution against Babylon's control. But then there are Hebrew people who are saying, no. Jeremiah said, don't fight.
you know,
Do not resist this. And they're saying, we're going to resist, and we're going to kill anybody who doesn't resist. And then they flee. Who flees to Egypt? Is it the remaining Hebrews?
I forget who was gonna go.
Intending to go to Egypt. Yeah, here, some places they repeat who the
Yeah.
characters are
Right.
ad nauseum, and then other places they use they.
I know. They set out near Bethlehem intending to go to Egypt because of the
Mizpah after
Chaldeans, so they were
slain.
afraid of them. And they killed Gedaliah, so it's the people. So yeah, this is the guy that was going to try to carry out the submission, further submission of the remaining people who were living in and around Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Now my footnote says,
Johanan,
yeah,
Yeah, Johanan now decided to go as quickly as possible to Egypt. He and the army officers
Yep.
with him feared reprisals when the news of Gedaliah's assassination reached Babylon.
yeah, because the Babylonian soldiers would come to suppress the rebellion. My footnote says, don't forget this story, because if you've ever, in the other book, we were reading about the difficulty in the resettlement of Jerusalem and the fight that broke out between the people who were there, who had never left, and the people who returned from Babylon with the commission, actually from Cyrus, to say, go ahead and rebuild the city. And it's a continuation of this struggle that the people who were in the city resisted those who came back to populate with Cyrus's commission. And they went to war, and they were
Again.
fighting against them. I know, and saying, you left, you're the traitors. We are the real Hebrews. We're the real people of God because we stayed put. But Jeremiah told them to leave. He said, go to Babylon, plant trees, live your life, and let time unfold because you will be back. But you get lost. And,
oh,
the story of faith is never not a story of the complication of people. It's...
And it does, when we read it, we go, oh my God, they're awful, they're bloodthirsty. But we just mentioned things that are happening right now in the world that are every bit, probably worse because there's probably more people involved than this. So we're not different. That actually makes me more upset that after all this time, we haven't made much progress.
well, very long ago, we wouldn't know what was going on in Sudan.
That's true.
I mean, it does make life more difficult somehow.
I mean, we would know, but we wouldn't know right away. We
It would
Would
take a
there
long
be
time to know.
foreign
Depends on how long we're
correspondent,
talking about.
sending his diaries on a boat, that
Yeah.
may or may not, well,
But you're not,
3 years.
you wouldn't be inundated with all that the
Right.
way we are.
and see pictures as it's
And
happening. Yeah.
It's almost like whiplash, because
Yeah.
today it's Sudan, tomorrow it'll be somewhere in Asia, or,
Or
it's
here, which is, I think everybody was,
never happened.
Well,
right, and that's the, well, it never happened
We were
here.
the civilized people, all those
We used to
uncivilized
be.
people.
We
and
are
the rest of the
exceptional,
people,
we
yeah.
are exceptional,
There's,
exceptionally naive.
Well, and I want to hold on to my naive ideas about, why are we different? Well, that's the people in Africa, and they're warring like, and that's who they are. But then, you look again at our own history. It's a small history. We are relatively new on the landscape of peaceful coexistence among people and government that is accepted. We're new. And how did we get here? We cleared the land. I don't know, there's some
Out of the land, cleared the
people.
people that were living on the land,
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
and then
Living
brought
like
in the
people.
slaves.
We didn't do it in a nice way. Could you please move over and?
think we could share?
Yes.
And it just,
No,
I can't remember all the,
because God gave us this space, and that's what's happening here, I'm sure.
The ownership thing.
Yeah, God didn't say Babylon should be in charge of us.
oh, yeah, I agree. They are calling on the authority from God. Even though Jeremiah, who's supposed to be their spokesperson, has said no, now they reject Jeremiah. And they say, no, we hear the call of God. We get it. We understand what God is trying to do for us. And then, why is it that whenever human beings link up with God, they become the most violent human beings there are? Why
Scary,
is that?
isn't it? Well, maybe they're the ones that get written about.
God's on their side.
I do think there is something to that.
You've got
They're
some
the ones-
righteous.
They're the ones that get written about,
you know.
they're the ones that get noticed. I don't think that the quiet people who are, making things better and listening to God are the ones that are being noticed.
Well, what do they say? The winners tell the story. They're the ones that write the history. But there's always another history underneath. There's always the smaller voice. There's always the better way.
So it's the people that rewrite the history in the way they want you to read it,
Yeah.
that we're finding that out
And,
too.
with all the news, all the high-profile news about Israel and Gaza, I keep going back to when I was a pastor at Milburn. There were families that came from the occupied lands, Jewish people, and the Muslim people from the tradition, and they were sharing houses.
Sure.
They were living together. They were modeling that you don't have to tear down the olive trees. We can share, and we can share the water. And my heart was warmed in the reality that, okay, how did we learn about that? We learned about it from people that somebody paid to come over from the West Bank. Not important people, not people with titles,
Exactly.
but people who had discovered that, the Israelis that came along and then told the settlers, that I grew up in that house. And they sat down and they talked and they broke bread together and they talked about how we must have a better solution. We're both people of deep, long history.
Right, and then a lot of settlers came from the United States
That-
to the
and-
West Bank. They didn't have that shared experience.
No, and they had money in their
They felt
hands.
that they had a right to
Entitled.
that, they had entitlement to that.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says that this is your land, and that is the key. They did not have a relationship with the people, Jewish and Muslim and Christian, that were already in that space. they just came and, I hate to blame Americans, but a lot of the settlers there are from the
Yeah,
United States.
and they're like prospectors during the gold rush, because the United States provides money for free full education for anybody that goes back to be a settler. They pay for the land, we pay for the building of the houses. You know, to act like as if,
And we give money to Netanyahu to give those settlers automatic weapons,
yes,
while the guy who's defending his olive trees has stones. And they always show, what do they show on the news? The
Kids
kids
show 'em
throwing
throwing
stones.
I know.
As if, and then they don't show you the settlers mowing everybody down with their automatic weapons that they got courtesy of us.
And when we ran,
So, of course, there's resentment.
yeah, it was a 3 Sunday education program that we were using a pamphlet that the Presbyterian Church put together, a background, maps of Israel and what it used to be and what the land for the Palestinians is now. And 3 Sunday, and the final Sunday, the Jewish Defamation League showed up in church in the adult education class, and they tried to shut us down. I mean, really physically tried to attack us. And Jim McNaughton, who's a really big constitutional lawyer, he was in the room. And the leader of this was like, "You have to give me equal time to speak in this class." And I said, "I don't have to give you any such thing. This is a Presbyterian church. It's our property. We're not required to give you anything. Besides, you're not behaving in a way that is going to." He had like 15 people with him.
Oh my God.
And Jim McNaughton,
How many did you have?
there were about 40 people in the room. And Jim saw him continue to come up to the podium to push me out of the way. And Jim got right physically in front of him and said, "We'll break furniture in here. So you might as well step outside with me." I've never been in a bar room where that happened. And I was like, what the hell is happening in the Presbyterian Church education class? And this guy was not going to stop. But we continued with the class over their interruptions and all the rest
Oh
of
my
it.
gosh.
And at the end of the class, when it was over, he demanded time with me in my office the following Monday. And he wanted to explain to me why we had completely bought into the Palestinian myth, and that now we were part of the problem. And he demanded that I was director of Christian education, that I plan an education event and invite them to come in and tell the other story. I said, no. I don't have any need to do that at all. Like,
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
what is that?
Hi, Pastor Hello. How are you?
I'm
So
good.
glad to see you.
You look good. All right, I
Oh,
guess I'll
thanks,
turn off
Dad.
the...
I guess you're going, huh?
I am.
How are you, Dad? Good, good.
I know you're not feeling so
I'm
great.
hanging in there. It's, it's killing me again. It's the shin splints. They keep, like I start rehab today.